Peace and blessings, y'all. This is your boy Gerald. It is the 21st of February, 2016. How is each and every one of y'all doing? So you're on the backside of your weekend, y'all. And I hope that this past weekend was peaceful. That's right. Peace of mind. Able to ground your feet, able to reflect, able to project where you're headed. Because see, your life is priceless. There'll be there'll never be another you. So how you doing, y'all? I hope you're doing well. Appreciate all the correspondence. As always, I value your truth, and it just how can I say this? It is very beautiful to see when you are tapping into yourself. You're allowing yourself to be vulnerable, because see, that is one of the aspects of change. That's right, y'all. You didn't think that your life and direction was going to be right where it is forever. Surely you didn't, because if that was the case, look at where you are now compared to where you were 6 months ago. You should see some movement. You should see some progression. You should see some downright renewal. Why? Because we're talking about you. So I hope wherever you are, life finds you safe. I'm going to throw this disclaimer out right now, y'all, so that some of y'all may be picking up on this. Last couple of days I've been kind of feeling a little bit under the weather, and I know it's due to the atmosphere that you and I are exposed to. No, I'm not on no conspiracy tip. Nah. But I am going to speak my truth. I believe with the constant influx of the weather change, the constant exposure to the environment, what's in the environment, eventually has an effect on your body. No different than what you choose to consume. No different than the exposure to those who have access to your life. So it's very, very important, y'all, to govern your temple, because one, it's your life, and number two, you only got one. So it's very important. You must be you. So this past week, y'all, I know that you have tried to navigate through the week, and you may have had some upheavals go on. You may have heard something. You may have actually seen something brought to your attention that has caused you to ponder. Surely you don't think that was by chance, do you? Or how we like to use the word, oh man, that was fate. Let me tell you something, yo. At the end of the day, God will make you a believer with or without your consent. Why? Because his will shall be done. We must all toe the rope. We must all do our part. But none of that will come to pass until you decide to be vulnerable to you. How about that little boy and that little girl that's found inside your spirit that gets to look outside the world every time you go to and fro? You do not serve yourself if you're not honoring you. And before you get it twisted, I'm not taking it from a position of conceit, of arrogance, or of pride, because we already know that's what the devil does, y'all. That's one of the things found in his knapsack. But we also know this: for every fall, pride was right in front of it. For every disappointment, ego was right there. So once again, do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? Because if you knew who you are, you should be unconditionally loving you. I know I'm talking to someone. You waiting by bated breath for that phone call to come so that you can feel normal. Let me tell you something. Don't you realize the people that have access to you are connected to you based off of two things? One, your spiritual connection, and two, your current state of mind. I know I'm talking to someone. Why do you think they acting all out of the pocket right now? Why do you think they acting brand new? Am I talking to someone? You thought in a million years they would not take a position as they have done now. But guess what? You're going to be all right. I know I'm talking to somebody. Because guess what? Your validation is coming. Yes, it is. And you may be saying, well, Gerald, I feel alone. I can't speak my truth like you do because I'm afraid what other people will see me as weak. Let me tell you something. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as being weak unless you claim it. So you feel in a certain kind of way because she ain't got time for you anymore. She didn't set you outside the front door as if you that little, that newspaper y'all used to get. I don't know if they still do it. It was like the weekly flyer. They throw it in your yard. And you're like, man, I wish they'd stop throwing these little newspaper things in my yard. I don't never read them. But you're starting to see a pattern. That's how your relationships are with your friends. I know I'm talking to someone. You know why? Because what you are being prepared, what is being shown to you is authenticity. You're saying, why would you say that word, Jer? Because you're real. But if you don't know you, you don't know your value. I know I'm talking to someone. You got to understand something. Before you have a pattern, you must have a behavior. But before you have a behavior, it must be manifested in a thought that is repetitive. So why aren't you loving on yourself? You waiting for someone to deliver something that you wanted so badly, just like a ball of yarn to a cat, and you feeling the turmoil. I know I'm talking to someone. You've been asking this person to just give you this one thing. It could be materialistic, it could be emotional, but you just been waiting on the delivery, and it seems like it never comes. It's kind of like that cliche back in the day for those who remember the Def Jam comedies when Chris Tucker made the analogy about the story of him and his partner said, hey, I'm going to pick you up. And he's out there, he's in the living room looking through the window saying, there go T, there go T. That ain't T. I know I'm talking to somebody. You frustrated. But more importantly, you beating yourself up. Because we are our worst enemies, y'all. You do know that, right? Ain't nobody can criticize you more than yourself. Why? Because it's a reference point of the state of mind that you have. It's a byproduct of what you've been exposed to. You didn't wake up from day one and start doing the things you were doing. These were things that were exposed to you repetitively, and you latched on. You don't believe me? Okay, my queens. Look at all those imitation hairstyles out there. Before they became reasonable in price, You looked at them. But then you saw someone that you emulated because you saw a connection emotionally. And you said, she just like me. I can relate to her. And what'd you do? You ran right on out there and you supported it. Sure, you got the attention that you wanted, but it was never the admiration you needed. I know I'm talking to someone. You feeling a certain kind of way this morning, ain't you? You pissed off before you left out to do what you did. You said, you know what? I'm going to weigh this like I'm weighing it on a scale, and I'm going to put pros and cons. I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt. But I tell you this, if they fall short this time, it's a wrap. I know I'm talking to someone, but here's the kicker. You knew that from the first hello. I know I'm talking to someone. So why does it surprise you? Why does it surprise you? Don't you realize people coming into our lives in two forms? They are showing you either A, through inspiration, or they are showing you through distraction. So in other words, what I'm saying, either your lesson or your blessing. Mm-hmm. Don't you understand, y'all, that God's got something better for you? Don't you realize that? You sitting down there contemplating. You're looking at your finances right now, and you're feeling a certain kind of way because you had all these promises. But the number one promise that should have been made was for you to do it yourself. I know I'm talking to someone. When you gonna take that price tag off your backside, Queen? When you gonna do that? Because you see your girlfriends who really ain't your friends doing it. You see the benefit out of that, but what you don't see is what is going on behind closed doors. But you know this though. There is a commonality because the same thing she's doing, you're doing it too because she taught you. I know I'm talking to someone. My kings, life can be difficult at times. It can because of the way we see the world, how we interpret our environment. But the hardest thing to do as a human being is to admit to ourselves that we were wrong. I know I'm talking to someone. Why are you looking over your shoulder when you can't go back? But you don't have room to stuff those emotions away because you're feeling impulsive now because you know if you could turn back the hands of time, you would do it in a second. Some of you may be saying, I'm seeing the correlations of my behavior patterns, and I don't want to end up like that family member because I see the dead end. And you feel like you're on an escalator without no control to go back down or turn away. And you seem like the momentum is constantly bringing you to that disappointment. Let me tell you something. Your job is to love yourself, but you can't fully understand what loving yourself is until you allow yourself to be open. I'm not talking about to the people outside your door. I'm talking about the person that's in the mirror looking back at you. Mm-hmm. Some of y'all got so much resentment towards yourself. You'd say, why did I do that? I know better. I shouldn't have never done that. But every time they come around, you submit. Don't you realize what's going on? What you're witnessing are your emotional triggers. What you're witnessing are your fears. You know what it is. Finally, everything's a reality. But because God loves you, he gives you life, living in favor every day. I know I'm talking to someone. You think that your life as you living it now is going to be your end all, be all. How wrong you are. How wrong you are. Because you know why? Because see, God's in that sifting room, y'all. He's there. He's always been there. And he's saying to you in your dreams, why won't you trust me? Don't you realize until you trust me, you can't trust you? I created you. So if anything, I'm going to know what's best for your life. I've already created your legacy the moment I gave you that first breath. Do y'all realize how blessed you are? No, I mean, think about it. When you were being birthed out, there was no guarantee from the time that you came out of your mother's birth canal to the time you took that first breath that you were going to live. There was some spiritual influence being going on right now. There was a spiritual battle already placed over your name. That's why the wicked never rest. I think some of y'all know that now because y'all have had some things occur recently, and it seems like you were walking with a demon. Let's speak truth, because demons are real, y'all. Come on. You think it was just by chance that disappointment that had you shook down to your toes was not orchestrated to block your destiny? Come on now. Don't be foolish. Do you think it's just by chance where you working right now that one person that no matter what you do, they've got nothing but disdain against you? You can't even walk in the room without feeling their presence. Why? Because everybody got a job to do. It just depends on what side and how you see it. There are people around you right now that have masks on, y'all. They got them masks on, and you know what I'm talking about because you were wearing yours too. But it don't fit no more. Now do it. It's slipping. You don't have that good seal on your face anymore to protect you from the truth. And it seems like the tables have turned now because yesterday you were the golden child, but now you are feeling like the ugly duckling. But let's go off of that. Don't y'all realize, for those who may remember the story of the ugly duckling, that ugly duckling only wanted to be loved and only wanted to feel safe amongst his friends, what he thought was friends. And the more and more he tried to associate himself, the more ridicule and disdain was given from them. Some even had the audacity to say, you're not even one of us. So why are you trying to associate yourself with us? It wasn't by chance, y'all. It wasn't until that pivotal moment occurred that ugly duckling took that first step of courage to walk away. Sure, for those that were in the cheap seats, thought that they may have won. They may have broken that ugly duckling's spirit. And that ugly duckling went on its way. And some seasons passed. And those animals continued living life as they knew it. Until that one day, they all decided, because you got to mind this now. That's why I always keep saying, birds of a feather flock together. It was that day that they decided to go to the lake to drink. See, they had no identity in themselves. I know I'm talking to someone. They can't do nothing without having a cosign from the next person. That's where, therefore, there was no progression. Only thing was going on, time was being taken willfully, given by them. It was on that day they happened to go out to that lake. And as they went out to the lake to drink, they looked out and they saw this creation. This creation was such a splendor to see because it was a rarity. They had never seen this before. It was not like them. And as they looked, they realized it was a swan. But unlike any other swan, this swan was black. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. This ain't about race. This is about spirit. And as they drank, they kept looking at that swan. Mind you, that swan was in the distance, alone. Wings strong and outstretched. It was at peace. Eventually, the swan noticed them and came in. Swam close enough, but not close enough to offset their environment, its environment. And then it stopped. It said, "Don't you know me? I know you." But it was not until I had the courage to walk away so I could find myself. See, that ugly duckling was not a duckling, it was the swan. So the point I'm trying to make is, as long as you allow your environment to dictate who you are, you will never understand where you're going, and you will never be able to get the blessings that have your rightful name. You are covertly allowing your environment to rob your smiles, take your joy, take your abundance, and take your promise from you. But here's something else. As I'm speaking this now, do you realize what else occurred? See if some of y'all caught that. You realize what occurred in that moment and in that occurrence? Notice I said, even though that swan was by itself, it was in its environment, it still had the courage, but the compassion to acknowledge where he had been. But it wasn't until he went inside himself to understand where he was going. So what I'm saying to each and every one of you is this. Why does it surprise you that people will come back in your life? I know I'm talking to someone. You think just out of the blue, they just bloop, there they are. You know why they do that, y'all? Because of two things. One, they wanted, they were curious. They were curious. And they were trying to rationalize from the mindset that they had why every time they were around you, they felt a certain way. So there's that spiritual connection, y'all. They were connected, but it depended on how the bond was forged. I know I'm talking to someone. Why does it frustrate you if you constantly doing the same thing? You go out every weekend and you come home with someone different. Why does it surprise you the outcome is they always leave? That's a habitual cycle that only you can break. That's why I say, this is why I convey this. No one can do anything to you you won't allow. So stop lying to yourself. The more that you lie to yourself, the more your environment is going to lie to you. I know I'm talking to someone. That's why you would always hear me say this in past videos. Energy out is energy returned. You are that source. That source is your spirit. You're a spiritual being first, living on an earthly plane. So the flesh is only a means is a means of transport on this earthly realm. But after your job is done, your requirement is fulfilled, good or bad, guess what? The flesh falls away, but the spirit should be exalted. I know I'm talking to someone. So now your friends are being brand new. Some of y'all had connections, but y'all didn't have friendships because you wasn't a friend to yourself first. I'll give props to Beyonce this one time. And I'm not gonna bash her. I don't know her like that, but I'll use what she said when she put that song out years ago, Me, Myself, and I. I know somebody, this is for that some person. That's your favorite song, ain't it? But you only listen to it when you have to get up off your knees because you're going through some pain. Don't you realize God is asking you to stand? He's asking you to be still. It's not, your life is not supposed to be the one that carries the most burden, the one that carries the most shame, the one that carries the most disrespect. You know what happens to those people? They end up dying alone. You know why that happens? Because they chose not to love themselves first. Come on now, think about it. Why is God going to give you your blessings when you refuse to honor yourself? The foundation is in you. So why do you keep telling people, well, you know what, that'll be the last time I do this. I'm going to do it this way. Or I love this one. You have the audacity to boast Don't you realize words have power? You say, I don't want to have nothing to do with love. And you wondering why your life is playing out the way it is. I know I'm talking to someone. You said, you told your stick man, I'm going to be about my money. Money before hoes. Come on, dog. There's nothing wrong with building your foundation. But make sure your foundation is coveted. Make sure that your foundation is blessed. If not, that's no different than going to the ocean with a bucket with a hole in it. No matter how much you dig that water out, it keeps coming out the sides. So therefore, you're doing it in vain. Some of y'all know that. You're going through your finance issues now, huh? You're terrified. You got that letter from the IRS. I know I'm talking to somebody. You're saying, wait a minute, I dotted my T's or crossed my I's and I thought I had everything right. But they're saying I got everything wrong. Don't you realize you didn't? You're spending more energy trying to deflect than correct. I know I'm talking to someone. That's not your life, y'all. That's not your life. Don't you realize that's the reason you hear them voices in your head? You're hearing them. And truth be told, you terrified to go to sleep because the nightmares is there now. You know what those nightmares represent? They represent two things. All the favor and promise that was to come to pass that you willfully chose not to claim by aligning yourself with the environment you chose. Come on now. God is not going to, he's not going to give you favor on bad behavior, but that devil will. Yeah, he will. He will give you everything your heart desires, except for love, except for growth, except for inner peace. How about that calmness? You've convinced yourself that that is fake. You only say those words because you won't apply them to yourself. So it's easier to take a position of deflection, but we all know you're in torment. And that torment lives inside you. For some of us, we know that is a spiritual root. I know, yes, that is something that can be transcended through our lineage too. We know that is a generational curse. You terrified. All you want is to have a loving family. But the reality is your family tree, that's not what it is. But here's the commonality right there. The reality is none of y'all are walking with God. So right now the devil thinks he's winning. He think he's winning. Don't you realize the devil's a liar? His job is to distract you from yourself. So let's turn that corner real quick. Some of y'all are having serious issues with your relationships, both professional as well as personal. And some of y'all have allowed the two to blur. Don't you realize you don't mix your money? You don't mix business with pleasure. But you have chose to dumb it down and say, well, you know, we have a thing. You notice people always use that instead of calling it for what it is. We've got an agreement. We've got A joint venture. Okay. And whose benefit? Because you realize that when you choose to take that position, one person's going to benefit, the other person is going to lose out. I know I'm talking to someone. You have willingly given your heart to this man. He seems to be like the man of your dreams, but his actions are actually a man that's from hell. You have said, well, you know what? I'll be meek and proper. I'll be submissive because I gotta be submissive. I'll give him everything he wants. But you still only get the crumbs back. Or this one. Well, you know I love you, right? So I need you to hold on a little longer. Then I'll go ahead and file my divorce. I know I'm talking to someone. And you're saying to yourself, how am I that woman? I would have never done that. He was not forthright. He should have told me that his name has been given to her. He has a life outside the bond I have with him. Don't you realize that's how deception works? And until you decide to ground your feet, have that conversation with God, the man or the woman that is destined, that person that has the keys to the other side of your life, they can't come to you. God has put his arm out and said, nope, she ain't ready for this. She ain't ready for you. She's got some more learning to do. And it's delayed. Or worse. Or worse. Someone else is living your life. I know I'm talking to someone. You let your pride block you from your happiness. You said, well, Gerald, the truth of the matter is I'm with him for security. I never loved him, but I love the things he do. But I don't have the courage to tell him the truth. Why do you think anything good is going to come out of that? It's not blessed. So if it's not blessed, guess what? It's not yoked. It doesn't matter if you are the self-proclaimed woman or man of the year. If God is not over it, it will not last. But guess what? That devil, he's sitting right there in the cut, and he's saying, why are you tripping? You said you wanted that car. You said you wanted that type of house. You said you wanted that type of guy. You said you wanted that thug dude. Yeah, you did. You wanted that man that had that edge. That's what you wanted. Didn't you realize there was a price of that? The trade-off is he exploits your body. The trade-off is he treats you like that welcome mat. But even that welcome mat is a lie, because that welcome mat should represent you. So surely you're not welcome to more pain. How about embarrassment? How about more mistrust? But you know what the devil does? Great. He never takes accountability for his actions. So does it surprise you? You deflect everything you do too. I know I'm talking to someone. From the outside, they think you got it going on till you close that door and you become the prisoner. Oh, yes. This happens all the time, y'all. Come on, queens. Shame the devil, tell the truth. If you knew the reality that you have was going to be the reality, you would run, you would run, you would run. But the truth of the matter is, you use tactics, you use ploys, you even ransomed your sexuality to get that man to play his role, but you won't even claim yours. I know I'm talking to someone. But let me tell you something, y'all. You want to change? Have the courage to do something different. How about you have that conversation with him? And when I say have that conversation with him, that means speak from your heart. You know that thing that's inside you, that organ that's inside you that constantly beats. Why do you think the beats are there? Your heart represents your promise. Yes, it continues to beat until it is fulfilled. If you're spending one moment saying coulda, woulda, shoulda, you ain't living your life. You're living someone else's. So why does it surprise you that things ain't going correct? So let's go back to that sifting room, y'all. See what's going on, y'all. There are people that are really going through some things in 2016. We're not even in March yet. And we already got people saying, I wish this year would hurry up and come. I know I'm talking to someone. But guess what? You playing Groundhog Day because you are still in that season. You think it's your position. You can't even tap into your emotions because you're afraid that your environment won't accept you. What did I tell you? If your environment does not spawn growth, if your environment does not speak truth, now these are your friends, right? If your environment does not uplift you, even if it cannot be embraced directly. I'm talking about your friends. Because I'm going to tell you what, some of y'all can't even catch a friend, even if you wanted to, because of the choices made. This is what I find real funny, y'all. And I'm saying this out of love. Queens, you're not supposed to be the one that says, I don't like females. They crazy. All my friends are men. Let me tell you something. They let me make this clear so you understand. All those men you got up in your cell phone, all those men that you talk on the slide with, they ain't your friends. Mm-mm, they not. You might as well be. You might as well change your name to an amusement park of your choice, because all those men, they're just there waiting for their turn. I know I'm talking to someone. He been there, devoted. He been there, supportive, until you pulled them panties off, and then you saw another side of him. And you're saying to yourself, I would have never did that if I knew you were that kind of guy. Why does it surprise you? Why does it surprise you? Does it surprise you because you both think alike? Because guess what? You were there. You were there. You had your part in it. Doesn't matter what a person possesses. It will never have the power to open your legs. How about open your mouth? How about open your heart? That's why you say this. I got a type. You got a type. Yeah. I got a type of guy. Now look at the people that you have aligned yourself with. You will see a commonality of the mindsets they keep. And you will see the outcome will be the same. Is that by chance? Nope. That was free will. That was free will. But in the midst of all that, God still shows mercy on your life while you're out there kicking dust. And God shows you an example of what you really need. You're saying to yourself, I can't believe I came up on him or I came up on her. She just fine. She seems mature. She seems goal driven. I can't believe it. She out of my league. He out of my league. And they tell you some things to make you stop dead in your tracks. And instead of embracing the compassion, the kindness, the empathy, how about the example of what your heart truly needs? What do? You start going into that bag of tricks and you try to find something to whittle down that moment of time. You try because God loves you so much, it don't go down, but they go away. I know I'm talking to someone. That's why you can't get them out of your mind. Oh yeah, you can compartmentalize and be a functional. That's why you've got functional addicts. Yeah, you know that person. You know darn well they're a functional drunk. You know that that person got a sexual addiction. You know that person just lost. But in the back of your mind, while you are being distracted in your day to day, that person still lives in your spirit. And you say to yourself, why can't I get over this person? Why does it seem like their connection haunts me? You know why? Because that person showed you what love was. I know I'm talking to someone. You think you're supposed to be the turn up king? You're supposed to be the get it girl. But you frustrated that your whole foundation, that's how they see you. You may have gone on and tried to reinvent yourself, but every time you run into someone in your past, they always bring up the last moment. Don't you realize why they're doing that? What you're seeing is truth. And I know some people may be like, I don't understand. What do you mean about seeing truth? In their eyes, that's how they see you. So if you were the stolen moment, it doesn't matter who you are now. That's how they chronicleize you in their mind. I know I'm talking to someone. You say, I ain't messing with you because you're a pathological liar. But guess what? You were there. So guess what? That is something still not addressed in your spirit. You know why I say that? Because you should have discerned it before the first hello. I know I'm talking to someone. But let's peel the onion back a little further. Because see, we live in a time, y'all, where people are getting their jollies off of being blasphemous. They like to spew their hatred and take a position of pride to say, well, you got a choice in the matter. Deal. Don't you realize those people are really, not only are they broken, but they're tormented. Yeah, they tormented. Because see, these people don't have the courage to honor that person that's in the mirror looking back. These people are the same people that say, well, you know what, God, I know you're there, but I'm only going to call you when it suits me, not when I need to humble before you. But have the audacity to have 10,000 excuses why they won't change. I know I'm talking to someone. You were intrigued more about the potential of the new. You know what the new is. Somebody brings a characteristic unlike your own, and because it's new, you're like, jackpot. You can have whatever you want, any way you want it. And what do? They treat your life like Golden Corral. For some of those people that don't know what Golden Corral is, that is no different. That is a retail chain that is found in your neighborhood. That's that retail chain that they think about when you were in high school, right? Remember when lunchtime when you had to wait in line, got to get your tray, and as you went down the line, you saw all these things, and then you paid for it. Well, they do that in the reverse. You pay for it up front, and then you go online and you pick whatever you want. There's no limit. And see, some of y'all have gotten conditioned to have that mindset of, well, you know what? I treat my life like the grocery store. I got a coupon, so I'm going to go and snip over here, and I'm going to thump over there. I'm going to snip over there, and I'm not going to pay for what it really costs. I'm going to be looking for the discount. And you get surprised that it costs you more than what you were willing to carry. I know I'm talking to someone. Why does it surprise you that one of the family traits of your lineage, the common theme is depression? I know I'm talking to someone. You love them more than the air you breathe, but yet they will not love themselves. And it's gotten to a point that it's starting to be toxic to you. So then, instead of turning a blind eye, you take a step back, thinking, well, if I give them some time, they'll come around. How many years do you need before you realize that is their choice? Only thing you can do is you pray for their deliverance. You pray for their breakthrough. You pray that they'll finally humble themselves so that whatever shackles that they got going on inside them, I ain't got to tell you that. You already know they got something going on because every time you turn around, the room reeks. You smell it. Like, oh, they back at it again. And then they turn around, instead of seeing it, they turn around and get mad because you see truth. I know I'm talking to someone. You say, I'm not going to be around you because you're not a good influence to my children. I know I'm talking to somebody, but guess what? If you ain't taking care of you, you're going to be just like them. I know I'm talking to someone. At the end of the day, God does not need your consent. His will shall be done with or without. And guess what? You got to get out of your own way. You know, all those dreams and aspirations that you mill in your mind. How about them beautiful ideas? I know I'm talking to someone. You're saying, you know what? I got an idea that will revolutionize this world, but nobody takes me serious. You know why nobody takes you serious? Because you don't take yourself serious. Every time you put a little effort in, here they come. Here they come. And what happens? It sits on the back burner. So guess what? Some effort is going to be required. So God's in the sifting room now. He's always been there, y'all. But I'm a firm believer that it's not his job to come to you. It's your job to honor him. And until you acknowledge that he is king in your life, you're going to suffer. You're going to get the short end of the stick. You're going to attract the things that have been your shackles. But get this, get this, get this, get this. There's still favor there, because what'll happen is you'll start to have revelations about your life, because you'll start to see people that are attached to your life, and the ones that walk with God, guess what happens? They grow. They change. Some seem like they have tapped into the fountain of youth, and the person that you knew is not the person they are. And you're saying to yourself, I don't know what she done did. I don't know what he's doing, but he seems like he looked like he's 7 times younger. He looked better than when I met him. I know I'm talking to somebody. You know why you're saying that? Because God loves you so much. He is letting you know indirectly. See, you're blocking your blessing. See, if you had trusted me, that would have been your reality. See, you're supposed to be a part of that. I know I'm talking to someone, but what do? You you let your little friends get in your ear. Some of them you let get in your panties, get in your drawers, get in your wallet, get in your purse, to distract you. See, nobody can speak your truth but you. That's why that pink elephant is live and well. It's trumpeting big time. Or how they used to say in the generations past, you got the monkey on the back. But let me tell you something, y'all. Angels exist. That's why the moment you tap into your synchronicity by way of your discernment, you will see the effects through serendipitous events. You'll start to have a clarity and an inner peace unlike any you've ever felt. Why? Because it will be at that time that you truly start loving you. It will feel like someone has given you an injection of love, unconditional. And you'll know this because there'll be a season where your emotions will be so thin, you'll start crying, you'll start weeping. And don't you realize why this is occurring? Because see, those very tears cleanses the soul. You think it's your purpose, you think it's your right to be that person that is in your car in your ride. Only time you tap into your emotions when no one's around. Don't you realize that's a position of arrogance? If you can't embrace your emotions, you'll never understand you. Because your emotions are the definitions of your spiritual foundation. I know that needs to go out to someone. Stop feeling that you got to go in the other room because you feel a certain kind of way. Stop feeling so boastful that only time that it gets real, you got to drive far, far away so that you can turn around and cry. Like I can't show this side of me because then they think I'm weak. Let me tell you something. Those ain't your friends. You breaking bread with opportunists. But it take one to know one. I know I'm talking to someone. Gerald got much love for each and every one of y'all, y'all. That's why I'm gonna always speak my truth because I keep my feet grounded. I place God first in everything I do. I submit to His will. Somebody asked me one day, said, "Well, Gerald, if you had to choose a life of having no friends and your dreams not coming to pass to serve God, would you?" I said, without a heart, without even thinking, without a thought, because I love God and I know God is not going to forsake me. And as long as I put Him first, He gonna protect me. He gonna allow His angels to intercede my life to protect me from those things I can't see. That's what their jobs are for, to protect you even from yourself. Why do you think that that disappointment occurred? I know I'm talking to someone. You had your heart set on this one thing and it went bust. And it got you feeling a certain way. It had to. I know I'm talking to someone. Because if it had came to pass, guess what? It would have opened up a doorway that will forever change your life, not for the good. So you were being spared. Let me tell you something, y'all. People can change. They can. They can. Stop listening to people say, "Oh, well, a leopard don't change the spots." Oh, I love this one. Here's just that one I love. You hear this all the time, especially on Bobo TV. You say, how's it go? Once a cheater, always a cheater. That's a crock. Don't you realize when people cheat, it's because they lack something from themselves? and they feel that they have to go out and find it. But then once again, let's show the connection in there. If that person saw their worth, why would they choose to disgrace themselves for a stolen moment? That's why it don't last. That's why it always has pain. That's why it's always said, you reap what you sow. And that is why some of y'all dream about the one. Yeah, you do. Shame the devil and stop lying. When you gonna stop lying? I know I'm talking to someone. You can talk a good game, but you lie to yourself every day. You convince yourself that this is what you need, but why does it hurt so much? You say to yourself, well, you know what? Sometimes, Gerald, you got a strong armor. You a pimp now? You a pimp? You claiming that? Well, let me do one better. How would you like for someone to strong arm your sister? How would you like someone to strong arm your mother? You may have said, well, that's what my daddy did, but guess what? You know they both were miserable. Communication is sender receiver. You can't talk and listen at the same time. That's why you keep missing the point. I know I'm talking to someone. As long as you keep running from yourself, your blessings can't manifest. As long as you choose not to love yourself, you'll never be at peace. As long as you choose not to honor yourself, your reality will disrespect you each and every turn. There's no blessing in deception. You say, well, Gerald, I just want change. Well, why don't you go inside? Huh? Why are you trying to live your life through them? Don't you realize they don't care about you? I'm saying this to somebody. When you were born, you was not born with the word slave. How about punching bag? How about, I love this one, fool? No, no, no. Don't you realize as long as you have a love affair with your denial, it will only yield despair. Have the courage to do something different. Plant your feet on the ground and have that journey. Place that journey back to that beautiful soul you are, that beautiful man, beautiful woman. Because if you don't love you, everything that you do will reciprocate that in return. Everything. You don't believe me? Here's a telltale sign somebody going through something. Just look at their car. I know I'm talking to somebody now. They got something going on within them that they got to sort out. But guess what? The moment that you humble yourself, have that conversation with God. That's why he said, I'm the truth. I'm the light. I'm the way. All things, what's the house? And I'm a babe in Christ, but I am the way to the Father. All things through me. He didn't say all things through that stolen moment. He didn't say that all things are through that lie. He didn't say all things is through that through that opportunity that you didn't earn? I'll break it down even more. That's why you hear this. All money ain't good money. Don't you realize anything that is made with man's hands comes with an expiration date because it's temporary. But all things through God is blessed. So I'm going to end this because I've talked too much. Just know your breakthrough's coming. It took you a minute to get to where you are. It's going to take a minute to get you where you need to be. But that won't happen until you decide to ask yourself this: who am I? Who am I? How about this? Why am I here? Or lastly, what is my purpose? I told you, you want to know who your friends are, hit them with that. What's your purpose? If they can't tell you that within the first 5 seconds, I'll be generous, 10. Do yourself a favor. With dignity, distance yourself from that person because they don't know who they are. And unfortunately, they don't have a relationship with God. But birds of a feather flock together, right? And that is why misery loves company. There should be a table for one, not for some. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. How much information listen, if you are going through something right now, it's meant for you to go through it, and it's meant for you to connect with God. But if you guys are going through, if you guys have some emotional hangups, emotional triggers, and you just want clarity, go talk to someone. Go talk to a therapist or a counselor. Go talk to someone who does not have a agenda. That means don't talk to your family. Don't talk to your friends because they're going to have a bias connected to that. Talk to someone that don't know you. If you got a full-time job, excuse me, you're paying for insurance. And because you have insurance, you're entitled to 2 visits. Let me tell you something. Especially in our community, we're the first ones to dispel that. Don't go talk to nobody. You ain't crazy. You crazy not to. But you know what? You know why they tell you that? They tell you that because they don't want you to change. Some are benefiting off of your despair. Some are benefiting off your impulsiveness. That's why you're going through some financial things now. I know I'm talking to someone. That bill came out of nowhere. It wasn't even planned for it. But now that you need support, they ain't got time of day. Why? Because they want you to play a position that suits them and not honor you. Love to hear from you, y'all. I hope you guys have a blessed week. Remember, place God first in everything you do. You can't go wrong. But now, y'all, we are in that season. You can't stop saying, I'm keeping it real when you won't keep it real with yourself. Because if you kept it real with yourself, you would be at peace. Be blessed.